I have played Dragon Age The Veilguard, and it is my first ever Dragon Age game. So today's video is going to be quite interesting, and I'm hoping you can join me on that journey. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got you covered with timestamps, so if you want to skip to a certain section of the video, feel free to do so. All I ask is you to support the channel and hit that thumbs up button, and if you want to stick around for some more content from me, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. The code for Dragon Age The Veilguard was provided to me from EA, but that does not inflict any of my opinions whatsoever. They are my opinions and my opinions alone. So let's dive straight into Dragon Age The Veilguard. So Dragon Age, it's my first time. So when it comes to the story, I'm going to be looking at this very fresh. I'm looking at the whole thing from fresh, and I'm not going to be comparing it to other Dragon Age games because I have no clue. So the story was quite unique because we're getting thrown in, from what I'm aware, a continuation of what happened in one of the previous games. So I don't have any attachment to any of the characters that I was seeing. So I just took the story as it was. And for the story, it was okay. It's been okay so far. I've been having an alright time with it. I think where it shines for me the most is its character interactions and just those little cutscenes where characters interact and I can make a couple of choices here and there. But when it comes to just the one-on-one character interactions with your companions, I feel like that's where the best things lie for me when it comes to Dragon Age. Now that's not disregarding the story whatsoever, and I can accept the fact that maybe it's because I don't have the experience of the Dragon Age story, but I have been looking at the codexes and having a read through, following all the little journals that are laid around and really trying to listen to what's going on. And again, it just falls into the okay kind of story for me. Nothing too exciting, but not anywhere near for me to stop playing because of the story. Now I mentioned characters, and I want to touch on the characters ever so slightly, and I'm not going to dive in too much with the story and characters as a whole because I feel like these games need to be experienced for yourself, but I would like to get my opinion across when it comes to the characters. I'm really digging the companions. It's my favorite part so far. I love the fact that I am me. I can be me. I can do whatever I want to do. I can joke around. I can be serious. I can try and get a little bit of love and approval from my companions, or I can just be very dismissive and suffer the consequences of that. But again, the characters has been a staple of Dragon Age The Veilguard that's kept me invested in playing. I want to talk about the game, and we like to start off here with exploration. And Dragon Age The Veilguard, I'm really enjoying the exploration. Now, it feels very linear, and a game that I would compare it to would be like Final Fantasy VII Remake, in that you have these linear pathways or linear areas where you can go to certain objectives and continue on with the story, but you can venture off the beaten path set in front of you to do side quests and find chests and have a look and talk to characters in the town, buy things from the shops, and everything else in between. It's always nice venturing away from the quest markers because you come across so many different things. Maybe it's a start of a big quest line, maybe it's a start of a companion quest, maybe there's just an NPC that seems to have a bit of knowledge to share with you, or you might stumble across a boss that will absolutely whoop your ass with massive hits left, right, and center, and you're thinking, okay, this is an area I've got to avoid. I'll come back here a little bit later. Before we move on to the combat of Dragon Age The Veilguard, I'll touch on just the scenery and the visuals of these locations that we're visiting. I'm loving it. I'm loving the vibe. I'm loving the dark towns. I'm loving like the vibrant forests that we go through. I'm loving just the vibe and those moments where I just stand and I just pan the camera ever so slowly and take in, and maybe even take a screenshot or two. Let's move on to the combat. And the combat, at first, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like it. I'm not getting into this. And I was like, oh, I really need to reassess. Is it me? Is it the game? Where are we not clicking? What's happening? And the simple fact for me was, I needed more abilities, I needed my companions, and I needed a bit of flexibility and a bit of customization. Once I got that, it only took a couple of hours or so. I thought, you know what, this is what I need for the combat. Now I can go ham on enemies, or I can take it easy and we can really get stuck in. So once I learned the systems, I was balancing between two ways of playing. I really like the ability to just pause time. Again, it reminds me of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's like a chance to take a breather, reassess the situation, situation. While you're in this menu, you can see enemy weaknesses and resistances, so you can adapt the playstyle to that. Unless you've took abilities that don't help you out, then you have to be a little bit more strategic and take your time and just chip off the enemies ever so slightly longer than you would if you exploited a weakness. But going into the menu, seeing what abilities will combo with one another that will give me the advantage. Maybe I want to put on a bleeding effect or something like that, so I can let that enemy bleed while I move on to the other. It's really nice to take that moment to pause. But as I went further and further, I found myself just using the shortcuts a lot more, because there's a nice little thing when it comes to combos of abilities that they have icons above. So let's say if I use my drop kick because I played as a warrior, and then I could combine it with another ability from Nev, and then there we go, we get the little detonation effect, and I can go in a little bit more chip away, either using my shield or my sword, or throwing the shield. I had so much fun, and I like the flexibility of it. And when it comes to it, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. There's only a couple of abilities that I've unlocked. I've not quite got all the companions yet, so I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. Apart from that, when it comes to the enemies, they're just groups of enemies. Sometimes you need to throw a different strategy in there, but it's when it's the bigger enemies and you really need to think about what you've got at your disposal is where the combat for me truly shines. Now, the thing that makes this combat is its progression systems and its skill trees. And to be fair, again, the skill tree for me was quite overwhelming. I was like, where do I want to go? And I really had to think, well, what is my play style? How am I playing? And it's not just the fact of just mashing the attack button, mashing your secondary attack button and hoping for the best. I was using the abilities and I was thinking, okay, where can I traverse through this skill tree to what benefits me? And I've gone for the warrior on the lower left side, where I'm enhancing my attack and my potency and learning a few abilities that help me out there. Also in combat, you have your companions, and they don't really have HP. I don't even think they have HP whatsoever. And I see companions more as equipment, if that makes any sense. So essentially, once you get your companions and you can get armor for them and you can get weapons and a few accessories for them, it doesn't just bolster their abilities, it bolsters you as far as I'm aware. I might be missing a point here, but I feel like it's all supporting your character that you're playing as. And at first I was like, this is really confusing. Why don't my characters have HP? Why can't I have a little bit more control over them? But then it kind of clicked and I was like, okay, I get it now. They are essentially like additional equipment slots to help the overall experience when it comes to combat. And to be fair, I've not got much to complain about that now that I know what that is. Now, I've gone over everything that I want to go over when it comes to the gameplay, combat, and exploration, but I want to talk about the menus for a second, because there's one thing that's really frustrating for me as someone that has picked up a lot of side quests and needs to go to different locations. I need to go through a couple of menus to open my journal. There's no shortcut button, or not one that I'm aware of, that I can use straight off the bat to go to my journal. I have to go into my menu, into my map, and then I have to press triangle to then go into my journal, to then select the side quest that I want to follow, to see if I'm where I want to be to tackle that side quest. And there's just a lot of menuing for me. I just want a nice snappy button that I can hold. Usually when you get given a quest, you can track it straight off the bat by holding it up. And I was thinking, well, if I hold up, maybe it'll take me straight to the journal page, but it does not do that. And I was a little bit disappointed because there are a lot of side quests. I've gone off the beaten path straight away. I've gone for companion quests and side quests because finding those more interesting, but it's been a bit of a ball ache to try and navigate to get those side quests. One thing that I didn't expect to really like is the way that equipment works and selling at shops. So essentially you collect valuables that you can sell to certain vendors and you get faction points pending on the location that you do that. That's all well and great, but the thing I really like is that we don't sell our equipment once we don't need it. What happens is it stays in your inventory, and if you collect a duplicate or buy a duplicate, it upgrades it. So it gives you a reason to use all of the equipment that you've collected, because maybe there's something you've collected early on but you've not unlocked the abilities, but you think, well, them abilities are going to really help me out. You have to wait to get the dupes of that, and then you can go back and equip those things and they'll help you out. I really think it's quite unique and I really dug it, and I think more games need to tackle their equipment a little bit like this. Last but not least, I want to talk about the Lighthouse, your home hub. As someone that likes to customize their own base and have a place to just chill out, talk to the characters I've met, catch up on a little bit of lore, and change the scenery ever so slightly, the Lighthouse is where it's at for me. But so far from what I've unlocked, I want a little bit more customization. At the moment, all I can do is change a few things that are laid out on my desk and put a few things up on the wall. There is the main place where everybody sits at. I can change the style of that with a certain elven style that I've collected so far. But I'm hoping that there might be a little bit more customization, but I'd always like a base that you go back to that builds up over time and you can establish deeper relationships with the companions that you've met so far. So far, so good, but I want more and I'm hoping I get more. And that's probably about it when it comes to Dragon Age The Veilguard. I want to kind of throw you my thoughts and my opinions so far. As my first Dragon Age game, I'm quite enjoying it. It's been quite a fun ride and I want to roll credits on it. But I'm more interested in your thoughts. Have you played Dragon Age The Veilguard? Are you a Dragon Age veteran that have been going through the games? I would love to get all opinions from all sides, so please let me know. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.